Hi everybody, thanks for joining me today. Let's have fun making some leather bracelets. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to demonstrate how to do 4 different types of leather closures, and because they're really different and each one takes a different amount of time, I'm doing 4 different videos. So I have one I'll be doing where you do kind of like a leather attachment. This one is just your typical button closure with leather. This one is basically you have an addition of leather for decorations on the bracelet, and this is a magnetic clasp. And this one is also a magnetic clasp, and I wire wrapped some stones on some chain, and then this is the top of the bracelet. And it's a leather piece that I've knotted on both sides, and I wire wrapped stones in the center for a different style of bracelet. So to start, I'm going to pick out this bracelet first with your most common button closure. I'm using 1.5 millimeter leather cording. You can use 2 millimeter. I would definitely go above 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter is kind of thin and it might not hold up enough with long-term use or wear and tear. So you want to have enough leather to form a button and your clasp and your closure for the bracelet. And sometimes people like to have a tail that's extra long that they can add beads to and tie a knot on. For this one, I'll just be cutting the tail and just be doing the button closure. So I'm going to cut a foot of leather. You don't probably have to cut that much, but I like to have extra. That way, if there's any issues, I don't have to start over again and I have plenty to work with. Then you want to take your leather and fold it in half. I'm going to take my loop here at the end. This is going to be where my bracelet connects, like here. So you can add charms to it and a jump ring and add your bracelet. So for this one, I'm going to do an overhand knot, and you don't need to have too large of an opening on this side because it will just be to attach everything. And you just kind of want to push your leather up towards the end of your loop and pull your tails down to tighten the knot, and kind of like push and pull at the same time, everything. So that way the knot is nice and tight and it's at the end where your loop closure is. So this will be where you can add chain. Sorry, yeah, you could add chain if you want chain or your charms or your wire for your bracelet. Next part, this will be where your button goes. So depending on the size of your button is how large of a hole you will want this to have. I'm going to be using this button. It's maybe 1 inch in size. So I want to have a loop that's going to go around the button with just a little bit of extra space. If it's too large, the bracelet won't stay closed and this loop will fall off around the button as you're wearing it. So for starters, I use my fingers like a gauge to form the loop around and kind of hold my leather down. And this gives me a fairly good size button loop to start with. And I might just go a teeny bit longer down the cording here to make more of a wider opening. And then yes, my button will go through here with enough space, but also not too big where it won't fall out on its own while I'm wearing the bracelet. So once I determine how large of a hole I want for my button, you can kind of measure it around this way as well. I'm going to take my leather again with both strands and tie another overhand, and you might need a little bit of room with your, little bit of help with your tools here, and form a knot and then tighten it. You want to hold this in place so as you're tightening, you don't accidentally creep up onto the space that you need and pull your leather too tight, and then this is too small of an opening for your button. So you kind of want to make sure you have that opening size secure while you are closing your knot and tightening it in place, and again pulling my tails down. So I have my opening there for my button, my connector loop, and now I have my 2 tails. And if for some reason you're going through this and you do need more room, you can just open up your knot a little bit and pull out some leather cording to open up your opening, and then pull this part out again. All right, so everything's nice and tight. So for this one, I'm just going to cut out a diagonal with my scissors or my wire cutters in this case. And now we have a leather closure for a button. And here's similar to what your finished project will look like. And then your button just goes through the opening. And there you go. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please like and subscribe. You can find me on Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook. And thanks for joining me. And hopefully you'll check out my other videos. Have a great day.